Hi, hey, hello, and welcome. I'm standing up, and I'm sitting down to another episode of The Educated Fan. My name is Brandon, and I am joined here by your co-host, my best friend, Andrew Moore. Buddy, I'm excited. The Colts won a preseason game. I don't much give a shit about the preseason, but we saw some good things out of some pretty important players, some people that might not be important later on in the season. However, right now, big question mark, are they important? Andrew, how are you doing?
Just got back from the Mecca, from Indianapolis. Just got home from Lucas Oil Stadium. It was rocking today. It was probably a little bit more than half full, but man, for a preseason game, it was loud, especially in the second half when the Panthers had 3 false start penalties right in a row. Crowd definitely played an impact in that, but it was a good game. I think I learned a lot. I think we all learned a lot about Jacob Eason, about Sam Ehlinger. There were wide receivers that really stood out. There was a lot to learn from this preseason game, and I'm glad the Colts came out on top. But I think the more important thing is just how these players performed and what they can kind of build upon as we go through the rest of the preseason.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about the fact that you can hear Andrew's neighbor mowing, because that seems to be a Sunday tradition. Drives me nuts. My fan's blown. It's hot in here, so if you're hearing a little buzz on my end, sorry about it. But Andrew, first, I don't have my cup with me because I'm drinking beer today. But if you would pull yours out, guys, every cup begins with K. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand that? Okay, here it is. She makes some really great tumblers. She makes some really great glass cups. She came to me this weekend with some concerns about copyright issues. Listen, till you receive that cease and desist, you keep selling cups. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. Let her know if you go to Every Cup Begins with K, cup with a K, K with a K. Go to her Facebook and let her know we sent you if you buy some cups. Great Christmas gifts. Great beginning of the NFL season gifts. But go buy some stuff from K. All right, Andrew, preseason game 1 against the Panthers. We'll talk about the preseason. I guess we're kind of going backwards in regards to training camp and then the game itself. But obviously we're going to talk about the most important thing first. Preseason game. We saw Eason for 2 quarters, Ehlinger for 2 quarters. Originally, Frank did say we were going to see Jacob for 2 full quarters, 1 full half. And then the story changed, and he said, and that was before Sam was doing so well in camp. And now, he's talking about, everybody's talking about how well Sam's doing in camp. So then it was all of a sudden 1.5 quarters. Frank went ahead and gave them each a half, which I thought made sense. I was glad he did that once that actually went down. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about Eason, and then let's talk about Ehlinger. Andrew, what were your overall impressions, Andrew, because we're going to have a conversation here, and we know how you like to get going. What were your overall impressions about Jacob Eason?
I thought Eason played pretty well. The main things for me, or maybe for everybody, but the main things that are concerns about Eason were his pocket presence, his decisiveness, and his accuracy. And I think he really there were some moments, obviously, but I think for the most part, he played pretty well. He came out and he didn't light the world on fire with driving up and down the field and scoring touchdowns, but you could see he was more decisive with the football. He showed pretty good accuracy, especially on that deep ball to Paris Campbell. I mean, laid it right in the bucket. And then especially on that 2-minute drive, he was very in command of the offense. He was very decisive with the ball. And that's kind of where I saw during the game where he was having the most trouble. When he was decisive, made his decisions quickly, delivered the ball on time, they were able to keep the chains going. It was when he started to hesitate and kind of self-doubt himself, hold the ball too long, He had a couple of those, a fumble, he had a couple sacks, things like that. But honestly, I was pretty happy with how Jacob Eason played, and I think he can build upon that as we go along here in these next upcoming games.
And we're going to dig into more Eason talk here. I have to limit Andrew from going on his rants. He talks about the whole subject before I get a chance to chime in. Thank you, Skylar. Welcome.
Cover it all.
Thank you, Titans Time Podcast, for joining. Welcome. Omari Tillman, Panthers fan here. Glad you're here. You're probably not super happy about the result of the game, but yeah, Eason. Here's my overall, because that's what we're talking about right now at this moment. Overall thoughts. And I told this to my cousin. I had people texting me. I'm not so impressed with Jacob Eason that I'm like, well, maybe he's the starter one day. But I am certainly, as of right now, I have not seen anything out of Jacob Eason from that football game that makes me say, hey, this guy can't start week one if Carson Wentz can't go. There was nothing from Jacob Eason that said, oh God, we gotta go to Sam Ehlinger to start week one if Carson Wentz can't go, right? And what we heard from this week is there is a possibility of Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson both starting week one. But as of right now, if that's not the case, if Carson can't go, I'm okay with Eason. I saw Andrew, for some reason, hated this bullet from Jacob Eason to Mike Strawn in one of his last drives. I thought he was 25, 30 yards down the field. Maybe I'm forgetting how far it was. I thought that was a dart. I thought that was a great pass. Was it 10 yards? You're shaking your head. Was it 10 yards?
It's about a 10-yard out route that he just rocketed in there. Now listen.
I'm trying to unpack. I just came back home from Indiana. I'm trying to unpack and do things while I watch the game. I was trying really hard to pay attention while we were on offense, like very much 100% attention. But okay, maybe I missed that. But it was a dart. It was a first down. I was happy with that specific play.
Now the thing is, it was a 10-yard out route. Now it did hit Strawn right in the hand. Sure, he probably should have caught it. But should have Jacob Eason have thrown it that hard? Absolutely not. That's one of the main critiques on Jacob Eason, though, is whether
throwing
it's
too hard
a
when
5-yard pass or a 60-yard pass. It just doesn't seem like he takes much off of it. It's the same kind of throw each time, and you gotta. You just got to throw for the situation. Now, if there was a defender right by Strawn, sure, you got to rocket it in there. But Strawn had his defender by a step and a half. If you just put a little bit of touch on that, Strawn might be able to even to take it up the field and gain another 5 yards with it. So that's something that's why I said that he probably should have taken a little bit off it. But should Michael Strawn have caught that ball? That probably it was a little on both ends. They could have done better.
All right, Andrew, Skylar wants to know, did you not wear your jersey to the game? I actually texted Andrew before the game and said, hey, is it super lame to wear a jersey on a preseason game? Andrew did wear a jersey to the game, but Andrew doesn't like to wrinkle his jersey, so he doesn't wear it on his drive there. On the drive home, he takes that bad boy off, puts it on a hanger. I'm not shitting you guys. He won't even put it on during the tailgate. He waits until he's getting ready to walk to the stadium to put it on. He did wear his jersey. I wore my jersey to the big $100 million man, Darius Leonard. Also, you know what? While we're talking about jerseys, Andrew, and we're going to talk about this again. Andrew and I have a fun little tradition. He gave it to me. I'm not going to lie like it's mine. If the Colts win, the jersey gets hung up. You don't wash it. So today is a do not wash the jersey episode. If the Colts lose, you take that shit off, you throw it in the hamper, and you wash that shit immediately. as soon as you can. As soon as you can, you wash that. You wash the dirtiness off of it. Those are going to be referred to as wash the jersey episodes. This is a do not wash the jersey episode. I don't think you applied to preseason, but I'm doing it. I'm following through. But yeah, back to Eason. Andrew, you made a comment about how when he was being decisive, when he was and honestly, we could just say it this way: when Frank was giving him plays that were quick releases and the opportunity was there, and he was making those reads like, okay, I can make this pass. He was on point. You know, after you text me that, because you and I talked during the games, obviously the commentators even said, "Oh man, when Jacob Eason drops back and throws the ball right away, doesn't think about it when it's quick, he's on point. When he has to take a minute to think about it, problems arise, sacks happen. He did make one play where he stood in there really strong and made a throw when he was about to get sacked, and I was really impressed with that. Other than that one, I can't think of any in my head that stand out. That he actually did stand in the pocket or step up without getting sacked or without making a bad throw. What do you think?
I think he still does need to work on his pocket presence because especially on like that strip fumble, he had no clue that edge rusher was coming from Will Holden, and what he should have done is they're really throughout the game, Jacob Eason really wasn't getting pressured too much in his face. It was more on the edge. I mean, we'll talk about that concern here in a bit, but I think what Jacob Eason would need to do is kind of more step up in the pocket. Now, there were times where he did have good pocket presence. There was a time where the pocket collapsed. He rolled out to his right, was able to deliver a pass to Mike Strawn down the field for a nice 15-yard gain. But that's the thing that he needs to work on the most is kind of holding the ball too long. And when he does, that seems like when he gets in trouble. And again, he was going up against second team rushers today. That's just going to get there quicker when you're going up against guys like Aaron Donald and guys like Calais Campbell and those edge rushers for the Baltimore Ravens.
I think that's unfair.
The Seahawks, with the Seahawks doing those blitzes. But the thing is,
I think that's unfair
because you're going to have Will Holden and Sam Tebby out there blocking
for a few weeks,
maybe at left tackle. So we're gonna see. I mean, that those few weeks we're playing those teams that not Seahawks blitz very heavily. The Rams have Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald, so that's something he needs to work on. Is really stepping up in the pocket and being aware when there's rushers coming through there. Because the Colts today, even though they won the game, they lost the turnover battle 3-0, and that's not all on Jacob Eason, obviously, but Jacob Eason contributed with that, and then that gave the Panthers very good field position when he had that turnover. Colts, that's definitely something he needs to work on, but I think with more live reps that will happen.
Colts did have an almost turnover. It was a close one. We did cause a fumble. We did not recover it. You know what? I'll say what you said is semi-fair, Andrew. Just because the Colts offensive line, so much of it's hurt, and granted we were going up against this, the second team pass rush, but I mean, they were going up against our second team pass defense, so our offensive line's real hurt, but the left tackle position specifically is going to be, however many games, Eason or Ellinger get, that left tackle position for sure is going to be, at a second string or less, and the left guard position maybe a couple games as well. Let's talk about Sam. So Sam, here's what people are going to say. Wow, how athletic. Wow, he ran a ball in. Wow, this, wow, that. But Sam didn't play till the second half. Sam played even lesser competition than Jacob Eason did, and honestly, Sam Ellinger didn't do anything for me, Andrew, that said this guy should start over Jacob Eason if it comes to it. If Carson Wentz is out, I didn't see anything about Sam that said he's got to start. I did see plenty out of Sam that said we should use this guy as an offensive tool, as an offensive weapon. Right now, as it stands, I want you to talk about Sam, obviously, but first, tell me, if you had to pick right now, who's starting week one if Wentz is out?
I mean, as of right now, I'd probably go Eason, but I don't think the gap is very large. I really don't. I think Ellinger, not only has he been showing it in practice, but the thing about Sam Ellinger is he just makes, and you might hear this a lot, but he makes football look simple. I mean, he goes back, he's very decisive, he's very aggressive, and while you were talking about, I mean, he's going up against third stringers. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're going up the first string. I mean, he still dropped great balls with very good accuracy. I mean, that ball, the deep ball to Tariq Black was right in his breadbasket. An absolute perfect throw on the deep ball. the throw across the middle to Vaughns, to Tyler Vaughns. I mean, Tyler Vaughns, an incredible one-handed catch, but Sam Ehlinger threw that ball in the only possible spot that Vaughns could have caught the ball. It was a great throw. Yeah. So he now, I mean, and then Sam wasn't perfect either. I mean, there were times where he had bad throws. I mean, that interception where he was throwing to Kylan Granson was a terrible throw. It lacked velocity, which is a big knock on Sam Ehlinger, as he doesn't have that arm strength to really sling the ball around. And it was behind him, and it was a very easy interception. But what you can say about Sam Ehlinger is he was able to rebound from that. He stayed confident, staying in control of the offense, and he really led that final drive, because that final drive really wasn't a big run by Jordan Wilkins or one of the other backs. It was Sam Ehlinger really leading him down the field with those passes. And you can obviously see he's a pretty good athlete. He's got great legs, and he really took, after that first interception, he took care of the ball, and he really seemed to settle down, which was good. So, I mean, he went up against the backups, but the thing is, I mean, you play who you got to play against, and we'd be crushing him if he played terrible against those third stringers. So I think in his first NFL experience, he went out there and he played pretty well. I would still, as of right now, I'd still have Eason a little bit ahead of him, but I think for all intents and purposes, Ehlinger played pretty well today.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. I think the gap is small. And keep in mind, too, he's a true rookie. He hasn't had the year studying the offense like Eason has. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the reps Eason has, which Eason doesn't, we've talked about this, his first time having first-team reps, so that's important for him. But Ehlinger has had 0 NFL reps.
Today was the first time we saw Jacob Eason in a live football game too. Yeah. So a lot of people forget that. So it was a big step for him as well as Ehlinger. So they're still very young in their progression, in their development.
I want you to know that I appreciate you interrupting me, Andrew. You don't do it often. I love the back and forth. I think there's a lot left in this QB competition. I think Ehlinger is going to start next week and play the first half, and I assume Jake's going to play the second half. I think they're going to do the full 2 quarters for both of them again, because Frank did originally say Eason was going to play 2 full quarters, and then Ehlinger was like, "Oh, hey, excuse me, I'm still playing 2. Hold on, I'm still playing 2." So then Frank did change it. He changed the story and said a quarter and a half. And with this being 2 out of 3 preseason games, I think they'll both play 2 full quarters again.
Well, what was going to happen is, it was originally, because Frank said this after the game, he was just going to have Jacob play about a quarter and a half. But then how it ended up being is they went back out there for that 2-minute drill. He didn't want to throw Sam right away into that 2-minute drill. Let Eason go and show what he can do on that 2-minute drill. And then once they got it, he played a half. Then they had Sam play the second half. He did say they want to have Brett Hundley get in there for a few snaps. But the plan as of right now is for Sam Ehlinger to play the whole first half next week, for Jacob Eason to play a majority of the second half. But Frank did say today after the game that he'd like to get Brett Hundley in next week for a few series.
Tyler, I am not ignoring you. I am getting to your questions here at the end of once Andrew and I get to a point that I feel good. I hope I just didn't fuck up the stream. I hope that didn't ruin it. I accidentally. Anyway, Tyler, I'm going to get to your questions. You don't even, I'm not going to explain what just happened, but Tyler, I'm going to get to your questions here in a second. And now, of course, it set me off. Here's what I'm happy with. So you said, Frank didn't want to throw Sam into a 2-minute warning offense, or 2-minute offense, right at the end of the half, which makes sense. But then in the end of the second half, we let Sam stay in as well. And then it came down to red zone offense. Andrew, I personally hated the decision to, and your buddy Zach Hicks felt the same way. I personally hated the decision to kneel the ball a couple times and kick the field goal, because Sam Ehlinger had this opportunity in the red zone to show what he had. How do you, I mean, like, I know you said, yeah, get him out of there. We don't want any injuries, but like, don't you think in that opportunity, in that situation, like Sam has this opportunity to throw a game-winning touchdown. Let's see what he has in this situation. Like, do you agree with the decision to kick the field goal, or would you have liked to see Frank, because the preseason does not matter. It does not matter if we leave time on the clock. Would you like to see Sam go for a touchdown in that situation?
In that situation, no. And the reason
but
for
it's the
that
preseason.
is
Keep that in mind. It's not a regular game. It's the preseason.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
But listen, Sam had already led a drive, and it ended up in a touchdown. He already had a red zone opportunity. He got the team back into the red zone. Now, and it's 18-18. Frank Reich doesn't want to be in these preseason games any longer than he has to be. So you get your guys in there. He had obviously seen enough from Sam Ehlinger and from the offense. You get to this position, kick the field goal, and then you be on your merry way. Because what if they do try to go for it and Sam just gets absolutely wrecked back there, and then he's out for an extended period of time, or somebody else on the offense or the defense happens. These preseason games, they're just trying to get out of there alive. And with all the reps they're going to get in practice, with the full half of work, it's not worth it, really. It's really not worth it. I could care less if Sam Ehlinger throws a touchdown in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. That doesn't mean anything to me. So you just kick the field goal, you end the game, and you get out of there without any injuries.
Yeah, but my point is not, again, I don't give a shit about the score, right? I don't give a shit about the preseason, but the preseason is when you give young guys opportunities, and if you're just worried about them getting injured every year, every single game, I'm you know what I mean? Like, the preseason's for those young guys to show what they have, and that opportunity seemed like one for, and I'm not saying, like for us to score a touchdown and to win by more. I'm saying that seemed like an opportunity for Sam Ehlinger to show, like, I can wrap a game up. Like, I can perform under pressure. I can do this, I can do that. It just seemed silly to me, again, because like this, we all know what the smart game position, what the game clock management, yada yada. Like, the smart thing to do is to kick the field goal, win the game, obviously. But what if we're down, 5? That's the moment that Sam Ehlinger needs to be preparing for, because he might start week 1. That might be seriously a need there, and I think that was a good opportunity, given exposure to that pressure. You know what I mean? Because Frank could say, just go out there, pretend we're down 6. I need you to score a touchdown.
Yeah, but the thing is, we weren't down 6. I know you love to be in the hypothetical mode.
No, it's not hypothetical. It's the preseason. This is when you practice things. This is when you have the opportunity to practice things live.
Not when you're tied. Not when the score is tied. Because listen, what if he throws an interception and then we have to go another quarter of football? No, we don't.
There's no overtime in the preseason.
See, they just wanted to kick the ball. That's the thing is about those
situations. There's no overtime in the preseason.
It doesn't matter. They wanted to go through that situation, because if you're in an actual game and you're down at the 10-yard line, they're not going to be going for it. They're going to do exactly what they did. They're going to get it into field goal range, get it in the middle of the field, and let Hot Rod or Pinheiro kick the field goal. Now, if they were down 5, it would have been different. They would have gone for it. But that's the thing. They were treating it like an actual game situation. You can do those different things in practice. I don't want to risk my quarterback going out there and doing that in something that doesn't even matter. That's my feeling, because preseason doesn't matter.
That's not their quarterback. That's the other thing. Dude, all they did was do Eddie Pinheiro a favor and show that he can kick a game-winning field goal from the fucking 20 if things come down to it. And he's not going to be our kicker. We don't even have the kicking contest on our outline here. I just think it's an opportunity to give Sam some experience, and they didn't take it. But
I just don't think it matters. I honestly don't.
Okay, we disagree on this. That's fine. Tyler asks, I'm going to just go ahead and bring up both questions because it was kind of a one question but two-part question. He says, I'd be more comfortable with Sam as a backup if Wentz is still out. But then he says, by week 1, will Sam be the number 2 as he has something? In his opinion, the kid slings it. Do you think over these next 2 preseason games we have left, do you think Sam realistically takes over that job, or obviously has a chance? I'm not going to sit here and say he doesn't have a chance. Do you predict Sam Ehlinger takes over that spot? And this is hypothetical because it's the future.
I still think Jacob Eason has the edge, and I think if they continue to play like this throughout the preseason, they're going to trot out Jacob Eason week 1 because I think Jacob Eason has the higher ceiling, and you can open up the offense a little bit more as far as the downfield stuff with Jacob Eason. And if you want, and at that, there's no rule saying that the Colts can't use both of them. Maybe if they're that close, they have Jacob Eason start and run the majority of the offense, but they can have a package for Sam Ehlinger as well.
I think Sam Ehlinger is going to be involved in the offense once Wentz is back. After seeing what we saw today, I mean, people were tweeting even like, obviously, common sense when Sam Ehlinger ran one in for the 2-point conversion. You know what I mean? They're like, this is what this guy does. And we used Jacoby Brissett, who is much less of an athlete than Sam Ehlinger last year in packages like that. So I have no issue with Sam being a guy who runs the ball in, makes RPO play, different stuff like that. But yeah, all right, Andrew, we got to move it along. Here we go. 27 minutes in to our 20-minute section about the game. We'll shorten up training camp talk a little bit, but let's talk about the young wide receivers, Andrew. This whole preseason, before training camp started, we talked about the battle between Michael Pittman. No, I'm sorry, not Michael Pittman Jr. Desmond Patman and Mike Strawn, and it looks like Mike Strawn's taken, maybe even the wide receiver position above Patman. But today, Patman made his name heard. And he caught some important passes today. What are you thinking about the lower part of the wide receiver roster?
I think Mike Strawn has pretty much solidified himself a roster spot in this Colts wide receiver group. Because I mean, obviously the top 3 guys didn't play today. You had T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman Jr., and Zach Pascal all sat. Paris Campbell played about a series, and by the way, he looked great in that series. An absolute bomb by Jacob Eason to Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell is going to be a huge part of this offense. You can mark my words. Week one comes, Paris Campbell's going to have a huge role. Yeah. But Mike Strawn, I would definitely put him as that 5th wide receiver. I think he's past Desmond Patman. We know Ashton Dulin. Ashton Dulin, it's kind of tough because he's one of the best gunners on the team, but he's had a hamstring injury the entire camp, and he really hasn't been able to show that or show his worth on the field. So if he continues to stay out, I mean, that could give Patman away to the active roster. The only thing is Patman doesn't play special teams, but Mike Strawn, you could just see it, that there's how big and how physical of a wide receiver he is. He was able to be used on deep routes, on those out routes, on slants. This guy isn't just a deep ball threat. He is. Chris Ballard even said that this guy isn't as raw as people think, and you really need to watch out for him. And Michael Strawn, not only today in the game, but every day in training camp, has just came out and he's impressed and made highlight plays every single day. In those joint practices against the Panthers, they were double teaming him, and Eason and Elling were still throwing in the ball, and he was catching touchdowns. This kid's got legit talent, and I think you saw that on display today. Now, Desmond Patman, he caught quite a few balls from Jacob Eason. And I think that's because they've worked so much together. Jacob and Dez really have a connection and a familiarity with one another. But when you saw Michael Strawn just jumps out at you, just so athletic, so big, and he can make a catch anywhere on the field.
Yeah, man. So obviously I've seen videos of training camp and whatnot, but I don't go deep diving into that stuff. It's hard enough to keep up with everything that we keep up with as it is. But this preseason game, I mean, he was impressive. It was good to see him out there. Desmond Patman, I was loving seeing that dude catch some footballs. I have been on that dude's team since last year so last year was the first time we covered a draft, right? So I wanted every single player to work out, of course, because, I'm, as you guys know, the more passionate of the 2 fans. Andrew is the more realistic one, the boring one. So I was
the one that's always right.
Let's not go that far. we're not going to go into that. There's been plenty of things I've been right about. But yeah, I've just kind of been on Patman and hoping. His mom follows me on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want the guy to succeed. And we thought it was going to be him and Mike Strawn, and it's looking like him and Doolin. And Mike Strawn's looking like he's got the spot up from that. Doolin, I feel like maybe Andrew, he's one of those guys that, he's been around a while, so we just kind of like always having the conversation. But who knows? Maybe because of that, he's the one that ends up getting tossed because, we want to give the young guy a chance. Maybe he costs a little less, something like that.
It's just that the way the Colts value special teams play,
right.
A lot of these bottom of the roster guys, they have to contribute on special teams, and that's going to be a big deciding factor. I think Desmond Patman
a big
really
deciding
has to have
Patman
a monster. I think Desmond Patman really needs to have a huge preseason, and Ashton Doolin just doesn't really need to play if that's
sure.
going to be a competition, because Ashton Doolin is such a versatile player on this wide receiver, on this team, really, but in this wide receiver group, because he can be that gadget guy. Desmond Patman really can't be a gadget guy. Ashton Doolin is probably our best gunner on special teams. He has blazing speed, and he can really get down the field and cover that. That's why I think Ashton Doolin will probably still have that last spot, or even to Michael Harris, but it's going to be one of those guys that plays a vital role on special teams.
Yeah. Andrew, another thing in this game, obviously, left tackle is a concern. Didn't matter who the fuck was in there. I mean, they were just getting mollywopped. We have an issue at left tackle until Eric Fisher's back. Mike Wells felt the need to tweet that and make that his most important observation of the game. Obviously.
Left tackle's a concern. I mean, they started out the game with Julian Davenport in there and Sam Tevy at right tackle. Julian Davenport, not good. He's like Raven Clark level.
It was tough.
So I really don't want him. I really don't want him sniffing that lineup. Then Will Holden was in there. Will Holden gave up the strip sack. Sam Tevy got blown up on a few plays. The left tackle position has not looked good, and it's gonna come down to, unless there's a trade, unless the Colts trade one of their preseason stars for a left tackle, it's going to end up being either Will Holden or Sam Tevy at that left tackle spot until Eric Fisher comes back. And so far in camp, and they're continuing in the preseason, they haven't been good. One of those guys absolutely needs to step up and really needs to start playing better if I want to be not even happy, but just not worried about that position. Because even though Quentin Nelson's going to probably be there next to him, he can't block everything. So there's going to be a lot of times where they put their best edge defender on Sam Tevy or Will Holden and letting them go. So they really need to step it up before I can have that be not my one of my top concerns as we head into week one.
What bugged me was a few times, dude, it looked like people had free runs at the QB. You can't have that. It looked like free runs at the QB. Mm-hmm. And that's my only concern at left tackle. You can't have free runs, but that was also including, a missing center, left guard, left tackle. So I would hope that we put the left tackle in positions where they're one-on-one, but at the same time, Jacob Eason, while he's not the most mobile guy on our roster, even at the QB position, he's still a little more mobile than Phil Rivers. So I think Frank can still do things to protect him in regards to that left tackle worry. So I'm not super concerned there. There's obviously a concern, but I just think Frank's smart enough. I think the quarterbacks are smart enough to know, I'm going to have something coming from the left side, but my feet can move me around. Defense gave up a few big plays, Andrew. Not all of our top guys played. Are you super concerned about the big plays given up today?
Not particularly. I did think that TJ Carey, when he gave up that big play,
he went down today. Do we know anything about that?
Carey's been playing. He did go down. Frank Reich said that it was either a knee or an ankle, something with his leg that didn't give the severity. But I think Rock, if we want to take something good away from the defense, I thought Rocky Sin played pretty decent today. I think he had a couple good plays in coverage, so that's good to see. But I mean, as of right now, I'm not too concerned about the defense. I want to see it when all the guys are out there. But how they've been performing in camp, the defense is the least of my worries right now.
Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, neither one of them played today, though, right?
No.
Yeah, so Rock wasn't going up against what he's going to have to go up against the whole season. So, yes, Julian Davenport, the Dolphins left tackle for the tank for Tua season. That man solidified our top 5 pick from Tyler Dietering. Good for you, bud. He's not good, that's for sure.
Julian Davenport is not good. He's not at all.
Yeah, he's not good. Defense, big plays. Okay. Taunting penalty. Listen here. Okay, I don't understand. You can't even spike the fucking football anymore? Is that what's going on?
I don't know if you can't spike the football. The only taunting penalty I really saw was Benny LeMay, after he had that run, he stood over the guy and kind of flexed. And
did you see the run?
I saw it, and I mean, the thing is, I didn't think it was that bad. Believe me, I didn't think it was that bad. The thing is, it's a stupid rule, but the NFL is going to be enforcing taunting. They're enforcing so much more, and they've said that they're forcing it so much more this year. And when you're a running back that's like a 6th or 7th stringer right now, after you make a big play, you can't erase that with a 15-yard penalty. So do I think it was the right call? No, because I think that wasn't really taunting. But the thing is, the NFL is going to enforce that, and you as a fringe roster player need to be more aware of that. So is it dumb? Yes. Did Benny LeMay need to do that? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it was super unnecessary. I'm telling you, I think I saw something today that you can't spike the football. Maybe I think when Sam ran it in, he was going to spike it and decided not to. I don't know what I missed. It was on Twitter. I don't know what I missed, but I'm telling you what, how can you have group celebrations and not spike the football? You know what I mean? If that's the way the NFL is going, they're going in the wrong direction. They made a great decision allowing the big celebrations and the group celebrations, I think, because they want more entertaining football. And the fans think that's funny. They think that's cool. They think it's fun to watch. So, yeah, that's why I put this in the notes, Andrew. If the NFL is going that direction, they're going backwards, if you ask me. Let's talk about training camp. So, obviously, the last couple of days we had the Panthers at training camp before the preseason game. Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman are kind of setting the tone. The boys got in some fights. Jonathan Taylor runs a dude over, as Jonathan Taylor does. This dude did not love it and starts fight one of, what? How many fights were there? At least 3, but that was 2 fights. In the first 2 plays, and one of them was Jonathan Taylor just telling a dude, I'm bigger and better than you. What do you think about the fighting, Andrew?
As long as the fighting didn't escalate too bad, I mean, you're going to have fights in training camp, especially with these joint practices. These guys are competing. Tempers are going to flare a little bit. But the thing is, you really want to see these guys setting the tone. And for years, the Colts have been a team that was talked about as being pretty finesse, not really being very tough. But then you have Jonathan Taylor coming out and laying the bang on these dudes. You have Michael Pittman, who's out there getting into the run blocking and pushing dudes over and really getting into that, not only being a physical player in the running game, but then it's just the way he runs his routes and catches the ball as well. Those are 2 of your young guys that you want to be cornerstones for this offense for years to come. And if we already know the defense is very physical with the leaders like DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard, and Kenny Moore, that's not the issue. But when you have your offense with guys like Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman going out there, Zach Pascal with what he brings as well, that toughness, Mo Alley Cox, those guys, when you have that, you're showing that you're going to bring the fight to them even on offense. So I loved it. I loved the energy. They're turning into a couple of dogs for this offense. And as long as the fights didn't escalate into a full out brawl, that's when it gets a little overblown and a little stupid. But I mean, these scuffles are going to happen. So just be the aggressor and show them you're not going to back down. I like to see it.
I love it. From both of them in general, I'll go ahead and speed it up here. Both of them in general, they're too nice, especially talking to them off field and whatnot. It's good to see them turn it up during, in between the white lines. We talked about this with Pittman throwing Ishmael down to the ground. So I love it. Pass rush making some noise in camp. Andrew, I really, it's on the list here. I don't want to talk about it because obviously they're going up against, a lower, not our best defenders or our pass blockers.
Right, but at the same time, it is good to see Kamoko Toure and Ben Banogu, especially.
They made noise in the
really
preseason
win those
game.
Matchups. They did. So it's good to see them. Not only they're making noise in practice, which was kind of an issue last year. That was one of the reasons Ben Banogu was a healthy scratch, because he wasn't showing it in practice. Now he's showing it in practice, and now it's time to translate it to those preseason games so they can both have roles when the regular season rolls around.
Yep. Injuries. Wentz, Nelson still out. Kelly still out. Hines, Andrew. What happened to Hines?
So Hines, he was warming up today, so I think he's good, but he left practice on Friday. Frank Reich said he got his leg whipped, but he was warming up today before the game, so shouldn't be too bad.
Buckner, Pay, Pinter, real quick.
So Buckner, they're being
Buckner.
overly cautious with his foot. That's why he hasn't been out there for the last few days. Kwity Paye rolled his ankle on Wednesday. Frank Reich said it's a mild sprain, so it shouldn't keep him out too long. And Danny Pinter, I think it's either an ankle or a foot for him as well. Jesus. He was seen on crutches on Friday, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. But Pinter's been out. There's a lot of foot injuries going around the Indianapolis Colts right now.
Pinter, a second string guy for about 3 positions, has been doing well in camp, so I hate to see that. I'm sick of the foot and ankle shit. I saw that funny picture. It was a medical boot, and it said "for the shoe" on it. That, unfortunately, that was really funny and relative. I really hope that ceases to be relevant. We can't practice there again next year. It's bad luck. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we say it's bad luck, but they use the same field. They use the same turf as what's at Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's tough to say that it's actually the turf, but it seems like there have been an abnormal amount of foot injuries there this year.
Can't say that location's not bad luck. Can't say that.
That is the location where Andrew Luck had his injury. So,
well, fuck me, right? Sorry, Darwin. I'm having 2 weeks in a row, Darwin. I'm sorry. I have a potty mouth. Colts news. Andrew, we are at 43 minutes. Colts news. Colts. This is all great. We don't have to talk about it long. Colts signed GM Chris Ballard, head coach Frank Reich, both to contract extensions through the 2026 season. I'm a little surprised to see Frank get that long of an extension, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised about Chris. The reason here's the thing. I think if Carson Wentz doesn't work out, in my opinion, I think we need to look at a new head coach situation, because Frank has vouched for a couple of guys. One of them retired. One of them, if he doesn't work out, then as good as Frank is, you just can't hang on to a guy. And if you're a GM, you want to get rid of him, so you get your shot at another head coach before you're fired as well. So the extension of Frank just as long as Chris kind of surprised me, but I do think they're a really good tag team, and I think it shows Chris Ballard's loyalty to Frank. How do you feel about the extensions of both of these guys, Andrew? Keep it short.
See, I don't think it's like that. I think that it's, for one, you can't blame Frank Reich for Phillip Rivers retiring. He can't control that.
I know.
But I think And these two, I mean, Jim Irsay's bought into these guys. These guys they have great job security. Chris Ballard's one of the best at his job. And when you're talking about Frank Reich having, now this will be his fourth different starting quarterback in 4 years, and he might not even have him for week one. I mean, how many coaches could put up the record that Frank Reich has? He almost has like a 60% winning percentage with 4 different starting quarterbacks. I mean, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. I mean, if we could get a stable quarterback in there, I mean, just imagine what this team could do. The team is bought into Frank Reich's message. They all love Frank Reich, and Jim Irsay loves Frank Reich too. Jim Irsay's bought into the vision of these two. Chris Ballard and him have a fantastic relationship, so I think it was good. They wanted to tie those two together. Thought it was a very good move for the Colts.
I want to be very clear. I'm being devil's advocate here. I love Frank Reich. I love Chris Ballard. I don't want any of them gone either. And you look at certain teams, and I won't name teams, Jets, but you can't go on this firing the GM who wants to fire the head coach because that's not his guy, and then you fire the GM because he's not doing well enough, and then he fires the head coach because that's not his guy, and you go on this endless fucking roundabout, and it's just terrible. It's not good for the team. I think establishing consistency is super important. I think this was a phenomenal move. I'm happy about it. Let's move it along. Colts signed tight end Graham Adamitis and linebacker Curtis Bolton. Waive injured wide receiver Gary Jennings and waive tackle Jake Benzinger. Okay, so those are a lot of unimportant moves that it don't matter.
A lot of end of the roster move stuff, so let's keep it moving.
Ryan Kelly, Andrew, I don't know if you saw this update on the outline. Ryan Kelly, number 69 on the NFL Top 100. Nice. I should have put I don't have the glasses emoji on the YouTube stream because this happened like right before we started, but I at least got it in the notes. They showed a video. The Colts put out a video of him like mic'd up and whatnot. And he said, imagine killing a 30 with Johnny Unitas, and I shit my pants. He's on the sideline during a game. He turns, I think it was to Quentin. He goes, imagine killing a 30 with Johnny Unitas. I just cried.
I think that was after the story was told about how Unitas and some of his teammates would just kill a case of beer on the ride home. And I mean, imagine, that'd be legendary to just knock some beers back with Johnny U. So I'd love it.
They talk about how smart he is. One of the smartest centers in the league. They show a little clip of him having a conversation with Quentin Nelson. If you don't follow the Colts Twitter, go follow the Colts Twitter and find that video. It's really good. All right, Andrew, news around the league first. You put this in here because you were concerned. Okay, so AFC East preview, Andrew. Let's move it along to, I guess it's my segment.
Yeah, it is your segment.
Where the division breakdown. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
I did set this up. Sorry, I'm
Since we didn't have a division breakdown last week, we only got the AFC East and then the AFC South to go.
And next week, I only have to talk about 3 teams. I just got to tell you right now, fans, I'm not doing this next year. If anybody's doing it, Andrew's doing it, or I'll just do it live. I'll look at the stuff on the screen. I hate doing this. The research is boring. It's terrible, but here we are. We're going to do it today.
And it's your segment.
I know. I know. It was my idea last year. And I regret it. So, I mean, at least I'm being honest with my fans, Andrew.
At least you're honest.
I want you all to know I hate doing this. I should have done the AFC South earlier. I might have had a little more gusto. But let's talk about the Bills. Tyler Dietering is for sure going to be in the comments here. Here we go. No, he put the eyeballs. Here we go. We're talking about the Bills first. They finished first. But the AFC East is facing the AFC South this year. Whoop, whoop, and the NFC South. The Bills were 13-3 last year. In free agency, they pick up, and keep in mind, I only do the biggest names, the names people probably know in here. Emmanuel Sanders, 1 year, $6 million. He's not a guy that's going to change a team, but he is a guy that could give Josh Allen just somebody else to just throw the ball down the field to. They got a new punter.
Especially when you have Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders is going to be facing a lot of easy coverage for Emmanuel Sanders. That could work out well for him.
Compared to what he's faced his entire career with Stephon Diggs on the other side, Emmanuel Sanders is probably going to have a good time in this offense, to be completely fair. Yeah. They got a new punter, Mitch Trubisky, they signed, who came from the Bears for a year, $2.5 million. Jacob Hollister, tight end from the Seahawks for $1.12-ish million, $1.13 million. And the running back, Matt Breida from the 49ers for 1 year, $1 million. They didn't really keep anybody that, re-sign anybody that you guys would really recognize, just the average fan. They did let John Brown go to Las Vegas, defensive tackle, Quentin Jefferson to Las Vegas, Tyler Kraft, tight end, to the Jets. Did he go to Notre Dame? He definitely played for Cincinnati. Did he go to Notre Dame as well?
I don't think he went to Notre Dame. I do not recognize that name.
Okay,
Tyler
Andrew
Eifert did, but that's a different Tyler.
I know. Andrew, gigantic Notre Dame fan, if you guys didn't know. In their draft, they got 8 picks. Round 1, pick 30, they got Gregory Rousseau, a defensive end from Miami. No other big names. They did have a round 2, round 3, and a few 6s.
Greg Rousseau played pretty well in their preseason game last night. So, I mean, he's a very big, long defensive end, was just very raw coming out. Not a lot of games played during his college career, but he's got good potential.
8 picks in the draft. I already said that. Let's move on to their schedule. They got 4 primetime games, which is 1 less than I thought they'd have. I thought they'd have had the max of 5. But, the Dallas Cowboys have to fucking take up spots that they don't need. They have a bye week in week 7. Notable games, Sunday night, week 5 against Kansas City. At Tennessee, week 6, Monday Night Football. So they have a couple primetime games and then a bye. Their first game is against Pittsburgh, which they had a couple of really awesome football games last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but that was... That was a fun rivalry last year, the Steelers and the Bills. Let's move it along to the second place team.
Well,
go ahead.
Forgot to talk about Josh Allen's major 6-year, $258 million deal.
You're right.
Love Josh Allen, dude. I think Josh Allen right now, he's not there yet, but I think another good season. I think Josh Allen's on the cusp of becoming a top 5 quarterback in this league. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree, because I think he's already a top 5 quarterback in the league, Andrew. I think and Tyler hates this. Him and I had this conversation, unfortunately. He says, I think Gregory Rousseau is going to be a solid pick, or hopefully he disappoints like Ed Oliver. Josh Allen had 1 good year. Let's slow it the fuck down. Okay, let's talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen had 1 pretty good year his rookie year. His second year, he probably had a great year worth talking about. But he made great progression. And from year 2 to year 3, he made even better progression, Andrew. He went from just, being a great player to an MVP caliber, MVP candidate. For most of the season, we were saying, yada, 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 Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like, he was always right there. Like, you can't count Josh Allen out for this MVP talk. And then he led these Bills to a great playoff run. You can't. Tyler, being a Miami fan, I know he's look. He's got 15 comments, I think, in a row right now on the YouTube. You can't. You don't want to like him. We're going to deal with this same shit with Trevor Lawrence, which we'll talk about next week. We're going to deal with the same thing, but Josh Allen's so good. He's real good. And he's just getting better every year, and that's what sucks for the rest of the NFC East. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Free agency, they finished second, 10-6. Free agency, they got Will Fuller for a year, $10.6 million. Listen, if Will Fuller can stay healthy, Will Fuller is a good wide receiver. He was trouble for the AFC South for a while.
that's just a big if. Will Fuller can never stay healthy. And you put him up with Jalen Waddle and Devontae Parker. I mean, that's plus Mike Gesicki. Tua Tagovailoa's got weapons. It's just going to be up to Tua to really put them into the playoffs and take them to the next level, because the pieces are there. It's just time for Tua to show what he's got.
I'll tell you right now, Tyler loves Gesicki. And Gesicki had a touchdown, I think maybe not even a touchdown this on their preseason game, but a great play, a pass for Tua. I saw it. He broke a tackle. I mean, went up the sideline. It was very good. Ethan Carter, I forget what position that is. I didn't put the position, but he's from Cincinnati. 3 years, $7.8 million, not a ton. Jacoby Brissett, 1 year, $5 million, threw a touchdown pass yesterday. Good for. Love Jacoby Brissett. Love the guy. Love the guy.
Love Jacoby.
I'm impressed by the fact
love
that
the guy.
Go ahead.
Love the person. The player, not so much.
Can I tell you something?
Average,
Can I tell you something today or yesterday? His passing touchdown was down the field. He let one go. So unlike him, Dolphins fans, this is good news for you because Tua surely won't be your starter all year because he's not good. Shaquem Griffin, linebacker from the Seahawks, 1 year, $920,000 deal. They need to up that because he had an interception with one hand in this recent Madden highlight recently. On the arm missing a hand. So I was very impressed. He's a good defender. I hope he does well. It's not my fault people are putting this video out there. That's not my bad. They lose Davon Godchaux, defensive tackle, to New England, 2 years, $15 million. Kyle Van Noy back to the Pats as well, 2 year, $12 million. Fitzpatrick to the Washington football team as the starter, 1 year, $10 million. And we have Julius Davenport. Thank you very much. Drafts, they had 8 picks. Round 1, pick 6, Jalen Waddle. Great pick. Tyler, very excited about this guy. He's the number 2 guy talked about out of Alabama, usually, over Devontae Smith. Over the disrespect. Hope Tua drops.
He was taken. Go ahead.
No, you finish your sentence. I'm reading.
So he was taken ahead of Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
So Jalen Waddle was actually seen as a better prospect than Devontae Smith. I mean, I love his speed. I think Devontae Smith's the better all around wide receiver, but Jalen Waddle has game-breaking speed at the wide receiver position.
I'm shit talking Tyler in the chat right now. He said the disrespect. Hope Tua drops 50 in week 4. I said 50 what? Yards? Jalen Waddle, though, Tyler's really excited about them. The Dolphins are really excited about him. They also got Jalen Phillips, the defensive end out of Miami in round 1, so he didn't go far. Good for him. We love Jalen Phillips. We're a Jalen Phillips podcast. We're fans of him. Oh, my God. My MacBook's low in power. Andrew, talk about Jalen Phillips.
So Jalen Phillips, he's really got good potential. We thought up there with Kwity Paye and Azeez Ojulari was one of the top edge rushers in this draft class. So there's the things about Jalen Phillips. The main concerns about him were things with his health because he had those ankle and wrist injuries. He thought he had some heart more with the concussions that made him retire from football. But as long as he can stay healthy, Jalen Phillips has the traits that he could be a dominant pass rusher in this league. He's long, he's very quick off the line of scrimmage. So I think that if he can stay healthy, that's just a big if. You put him on the outside, and he's gonna be very disruptive for your defense.
Animal, absolute animal. Tyler, we love you, man. Thanks for listening. We like picking on you, just for fun. We're at an hour, Andrew. This is insane. Schedule, they got 2 primetime games, bye week in week 14. That blows, to be honest with you. Notable games, they got Jacksonville across the pond at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That's just fun because they're in Europe. Saints on a Monday night, late year. They have us week 4. That's a part of our 5-game hell. No other games that really stick out to me other than division games. Obviously, this division is going to be a lot of fun this year. Let's move it along to the Patriots. Andrew, free agency. We know they're one of the most busy teams in free agency, so I'm not going to do my normal, here's the guy, here's how much, but I'm going to run through them all real fast. Outside linebacker Matt Judon, tight end Jonnu Smith, tight end Hunter Henry, safety Jalen Mills, wide receiver Nelson Aguilar, defensive tackle Davon Godchaux, which I mentioned before, wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Van Noy's back, like I said, and more. There's a lot of them. I think a total of 21 acquisitions, I think I counted, for a lot of money. I didn't bother looking up the money or counting the money, but a shit ton. They kept Brian Hoyer, who is the ideal Patriots backup quarterback. David Andrews, 4 years, $19 million. Lawrence Guy and some other guys gone. They lose. Here's where it hurts. Joe Thuney to Kansas City, $80 million over 5 years. That center, you make $80 million over 5 years as a center. You're a fucking good center. The Patriots obviously did let one go there. And the Chiefs obviously picked one up. Rex Burkhead, not really, a big name, but just everybody knows his name. Not a big, great player, but everybody knows his name. If he's a big name, if everybody knows his name. He's a Houston. He won't do a damn thing there if I had to bet. Draft, Andrew, anything? Do you really need to interrupt for any of this Patriot stuff? Okay. I mean, they obviously spent a lot of money, which in the history has not panned out well. But it's Bill Belichick, so we'll see. 8 draft picks. Obviously, the big one, pick 15, Mac Jones. People are talking about him. Round 2, pick 38, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle from Alabama, which we talked about. Good for them. Schedule. Only 3 primetime games for New England. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The NFL gives up on New England real quick. Knocks them down to 3. Bye week 14. That sucks as well. Notable games. Tampa Bay is coming to town. Week 4 with Tom. That's fun. And then they're at Carolina. That's fun for Cam.
It's really for the Patriots. I mean, they spent all this money to reload not only their offense but their defense. They drafted Mac Jones. Yep. It's really going to be all on the quarterback position. Is it going to be Cam Newton who's going to come in and maybe see a rebirth and have a really good season, or is Mac Jones going to end up passing Cam Newton and end up taking that starting job throughout the season? So that's going to be a fun quarterback battle to watch. Mac Jones, when I was watching him this week in his first preseason game, it didn't look too big for him. Sure. He looked very poised and composed in the pocket, which was good. He had great touch on his ball. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that quarterback competition plays out in New England.
Yeah. I think Cam keeps it. I mean, unless Cam does something real bad, I think Cam keeps it. Jets. Obviously, new coach, Robert Saleh. They pick up Carl Lawson, a defensive end from Cincinnati, for 3 years, $45 million. Wide receiver Corey Davis, 3 years, $37.5 million. I want you all to know, I think Corey Davis is a damn good receiver, and I think the Jets made a real good move here. They got defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins from New Orleans, 2 year, $11 million. Cornerback Justin Hardy from New Orleans, 3 years, $6.75 million. They lose guard Pat Elflein to Carolina, 3 years, $13.5 million. Draft. 7 picks. I think it was 7 picks. The website I usually uses is like messed up. Quarterback, Zach Wilson. 2nd pick of the draft. Obviously a good pick. Pick 14, offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker from USC. We liked him. Round 2, Elijah Moore, wide receiver from Ole Miss. We liked him too. Here's the thing with the Jets. 1 primetime game against us, Thursday night, week 9. Whoopty shit. Bye week 6. That sucks. No notable games because, it's the Jets. You're going to want to watch Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's good at football. He's fun. I think you're going to want to watch him play football. So, Andrew, what do you think about the Jets real quick? Nothing special.
The Jets, I think they're I think they have a chance now. They're not going to be special this year.
They're not going to playoffs.
But no. But the thing is, you've got Robert Saleh in there. Robert Saleh is a culture changer. I mean, me and you both love Robert Saleh. Love the man, love what he stands for. I think he can really change this entire Jets culture. You've got your young quarterback. They're starting to try to protect him because they've got that mammoth human being in Mekhi Becton at left tackle. You bring Elijah Vera Tucker, who was arguably arguably the best offensive lineman, period, in this entire draft. You're starting to build that protection around him. You've got Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore. If Jamison Crowder, I think, is still on that team. So you're putting weapons around him. Now it's time to just let your young quarterback grow, make sure he doesn't get completely beat up and pummeled like Andrew Luck did, and just kind of see where this goes. So Jets aren't going to be special this year, but they're building the foundation.
Good thing for them is Zach Wilson is a little more mobile than Andrew Luck, you could say. And then I think Andrew...
I wouldn't even say that. Andrew Luck's just a massive linebacker playing football, pretty much.
I think Zach Wilson's faster. I think Robert Saleh... I think we both think culture is so important. You know what I mean? Like, I think if Chris Ballard had brought in Pagano on his own, you know what I mean? I think I'm not saying Chuck Pagano would have won a Super Bowl, but I think Chuck Pagano's team would have been different with Chris Ballard as, the start of the culture. And Frank Reich's a big part of that. And I think Robert Saleh can create, a much better culture for the Jets, something they haven't had in a long time. We don't have much NFL news, Andrew, but I do want to talk about the Bears-Miami game real quick. And my buddy Tyler brought this to my attention. The NFL is pushing Justin Fields like he's the next coming. And I watched some of the highlights of Justin Fields. Not impressive. He made some big plays against the third-team defense. But against the second-team defense for the Miami Dolphins, Justin Fields threw an ugly almost interception. Justin Fields fumbled the football, gave up a turnover. Justin Fields stinks. Everybody, I want you all to see, all of you that are looking at Justin Fields is the next coming, I want you to realize Justin Fields stinks, and that's what's on the screen, Andrew, and you're next to it. So that's what you think now, too.
And it's not. Give the kid a break. I mean, it was literally his first game action. Like,
I'm just saying, people are overreacting.
Don't blame the media. Don't blame the media. Don't blame the overreaction on Justin Fields himself. He's not doing it. He's just trying to go out there and play football and be the starting quarterback for the Bears. So, I thought overall his game, that's something to build on. That's what all this is for preseason for these young players. Build on their confidence and show that they can play in the NFL. And I think Justin Fields definitely showed that in his first game.
All they play on NFL Network is the one throw to a wide open receiver like it's a hard throw. Also from Tyler, which is true. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I mean, they're just throwing this. They're showing this open pass. Anyway, let's move along. I just wanted to give Justin Fields shit because everybody's acting like he did something out of this world and pretty normal stuff. All right, Andrew. All we have left. Quick recap of the old Hard Knocks episode 1. What did you think of that episode overall? You kind of told me. I actually kind of disagree with you, but you give your recap first.
So, when I look at Hard Knocks, I always love to see the backstories of all the young rookies coming up, and we didn't really see too much of that. It was mostly just Micah Parsons on that. But what I did find very interesting is kind of the dynamic between Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. That was kind of an interesting dynamic for me. And this is literally all I've ever seen of those two together. So this could be completely off base, but it just didn't seem like those two really connected that well. But then you see the relationship, and I didn't know that Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott were so close. I knew they were good friends, but I didn't know that they were like best friends, like brothers, basically. And then showing that dynamic was pretty cool. But I thought that there just seemed like there was tension between Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, and I didn't really like that. But did you get that same feeling?
Okay, so I have other things to say about the show, but in regards to that specific thing, yeah, I got a weird tension feel from those two, and here's why. It wasn't just because Dak was pissed off about the whole Mike resting him thing, and and him being pissed off. Like I texted you the other day. Because I didn't watch it until just yesterday. Like, I was traveling. Like I said, my fiance likes to watch this stuff with me, so I didn't watch shit. I didn't watch the Marvel What If series. I saved everything until I got home yesterday, and I watched it yesterday. And like I text you, and I was like, oh man, I hope next week. I said I hope next week we see this whole Dak Prescott cussing out McCarthy thing. That was this week. That's where the news got it. They were like, oh shit, Dak Prescott's pissed off. He's sitting out reps. I found it interesting that McCarthy wasn't the one going to talk to him about this stuff. I found it interesting that we didn't see them talk to each other a lot in this episode. I found it interesting that Mike McCarthy made a joke to Dak, and Dak took it so seriously, and Mike had to be like, hey man, like, I was just joking. Like, you know that, right? Like, slapped him on the ass. I thought that was super interesting. You would think that your head coach and the guy you just paid a shit ton of money to be your quarterback would be a little closer than that, especially when your head coach is an offensive guy. I thought that was really interesting. Go ahead.
I just think, it could be just because I'm used to the last 4 years, Frank Reich being so close with his quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Frank Reich and Andrew Luck, great friends, great together. Even Jacoby Brissett, and then obviously with Phillip Rivers. And then just this year already, Carson Wentz, while he's been out with an injury, he's tied to Frank Reich's hip pretty much the entire practice. So it's just weird kind of seeing that your head coach and your quarterback are supposed to be in lockstep with one another. Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy,
especially when your head coach is an offensive guy.
Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy had such a tight relationship with one another, and Peyton Manning and Tom Moore. Just seeing that friction between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, if I was a Cowboys fan, I really wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Yeah, but they still have 5 primetime games. The Cowboys fans still think they matter.
It's the Cowboys.
They do not. The Cowboys are, I think, based off watching that first episode, I'd say the Cowboys would be lucky to finish 3rd in the NFC East. Now, let me talk about a little more. I love the intro. I love that they started out with Dak talking about his brother. I love that they talked about Dak talking about his injury. I love that they exposed his emotions after he was just absolutely shit on for expressing his emotions last year. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was fun. The Zeke wrapping a present thing, shit myself. Paige is sitting here laughing at him like he doesn't know how to wrap a present. I'm like, he's never done it before. She goes, he's watching a video. I'm like, yeah, he's never done it before. It was the most relatable thing I've ever seen Zeke do. Like, I don't think they tried hyping up Zeke again for us this year. Like, I don't think Zeke is a guy you're like going to be dying to draft for your fantasy league personally. But like, I did enjoy how relatable that moment was. Like, I don't know how to wrap a present. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was very relatable because that same video that he was watching, not gonna lie, I looked up that same video myself this past Christmas when I was doing stuff.
And when he goes, they're going too fast. Like, I've looked up like things for this podcast, and I'm like trying to do things. They're like going too fast. I'm like, oh shit, how do I? Dude, I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what this next episode's going to be about. So I thought it was good. I want to see, like I said, more of the backstory of the rookies, and then that dynamic between Dak and McCarthy. That's going to keep me hooked all season.
You complained, but it was only episode 1, Andrew, and this is only the 2nd season you've actually watched. I was actually shocked at how much they showed from a Jerry Jones team. You know what I mean? I know he knows his shit, and he wants to make money. But like,
by the way, you see Jerry Jones just putting all the salt on his McGriddle. That man loves it salty. Like, my God,
he's a serious GM though.
I can't imagine putting more salt on something from McDonald's besides maybe a little bit on the fries. But man, this dude was just dousing it.
Jerry Jones is a serious GM though. Like he's a good GM. He drafts well. So it was interesting to see him. I thought they exposed more than I expected especially for episode 1, Andrew. So I don't know. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's only your second season. Maybe you'll like it. All right, guys, go follow us at @TheEducatedFan_ on Instagram and Twitter. The Educated Fan on Facebook, YouTube. Go. You know what? I'm pissed. I know there's more listeners than there are subscribers for the YouTube. I know there's more listeners than there are people who have written a review for our podcast on Apple. So stop being lazy. Subscribe to our YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can literally click the button as you're watching. You can click like. Now just go back and click like on all of our videos, okay? And then on Apple, just all you have to do is click a 5-star. Like, you just click it, and then you go, this is good. And that's it. That's all you have to do. If you don't think it's 5 stars, fuck off. Don't click anything. That's fine too. I'm fine with that. If you don't think we're 5 stars, give us 4. And if you don't think we're 4 stars, fuck off. Don't click anything. I think that's great. Andrew, anything else that we're forgetting from the week? I think I had something else and I just forgot. Maybe I'll remember next week.
I don't think we're forgetting anything. Just this upcoming week, the Colts are going to Minnesota to play the Vikings. It's going to be on Saturday night. So again, another chance to look at the quarterbacks, another chance to look at the left tackles and the wide receivers. We'll probably see the starters play a little bit more as well. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Any other questions on YouTube? Mo Alley Cox is the second receiving threat. Prove me wrong. Tyler, you're just trying to poke the bear at this point.
I think Tyler should watch some more Colts games and get educated.
You know what? I think I really do think he watches the Colts like second to the Miami Dolphins, and I think he just loves to fuck with us. So, you know what? Till next time, God bless you all. God bless football. And God bless the Colts. Go Colts.
I fucking love football, and I love you guys.